before we move on is that. What's that?
Is it possible when on your AC, like not even a single air comes out? Is that possible?
Is it possible for it not to work at all?
So, yeah, like if you turn it to low, high, nothing's coming out.
Mhm. Yep.
What could be the reason?
None of the speeds work?
Like none of it. You turn high, low, medium.
Probably the blower motor. Probably. Okay. Anyway, what I want you to pay attention to is the resistors drop the voltage and reduce the current both, which means voltage and amperage. Okay? Anybody familiar with Ohm's law? Probably not, right? That's basically what it is. E is voltage, I is current, R is resistance. When we go through electronics, you'll know what all that is, but the reason I tell you that is because you might see that in the form of a test question at some point in time in the next couple of days. Okay, this is one type of blower motor resistor pack. So, see these little coils of wire here? These are just resistors. As you can see, there's 3 different ones, just like you saw in the schematic. This is just one type of blower motor. This is a brushless DC motor. Uses the BCM or the body control module to control the speed. So when we get into electronics, we'll do some more of this, but this is just a type of clamp on amperage type meter, so you could measure current draw. At this point in time, you would just clamp this over the power wire to the blower motor, turn it on, and this will give you a current flow value. In this case, this would be just a little over 7 amps. Okay, what do you think?
Resistors.
Blower motor resistors, only works on high, right? If it's the other way around, only works on low, it's probably high-speed relay. Fusible link, something like that. Okay, we were almost done with that, we could have just finished it. Okay. I didn't realize we were that close to the end. I already gave him that one to take home. Since you guys are closer now, you just want to send that down there?
Thank you.
Hey, bro, can you calm that down? I'm trying to take a text.
Yin and yang. Keep up, Bless you.
Thank you.
Question. Everybody done? Yep. All right.
The door used to control interior temperature is called the temperature blend door. A.
All right.
Number 2, most systems use a flap door that swings about blank degrees.
Just C, 45 to 90.
Yeah, that's on page 772.
45 to 90? Yeah. Okay.
Which of the following is true regarding the carbon have profile? Both A and B.
Okay.
Says, what is a heater system, reheater system, with the,
D?
yeah,
Okay. It's not D.
Then it's B.
Then it's B. Okay. It is. Now, I'm going to give you a little test hint. Okay? Now, first of all, I want you to understand one thing. This will not apply to every question. However, if you run across a question that you don't know the answer to, sometimes the longest answer is the correct answer. Because it's harder to write an answer that's wrong than it is an answer that's right. So if you literally have to guess at a question because you have no idea, sometimes picking a long answer will get you the right answer, okay? Okay, number 5.
The air inlet control, the door is called also, or is also called a Enio bug.
Okay. Could be called any of those.
Cabin filter remove dust and pollen from the incoming airstream. B.
Okay?
What does the snowflake button on the dash do? C. Turns on the AC compressor.
Okay?
Number 8, a blower motor works on all speeds except high. Technician A says that the high-speed relay may be faulty. Technician B says that the blower motor should be replaced. Which technician is correct? Both?
A,
I said A only.
yeah, A on.
Okay.
Okay. So, let's read this. The blower motor works on all speeds except for high. So what does it say right here? The blower motor works. So why would you replace it?
Works, okay. Is this like, it's not a statement, a fact, it's a diagnosis, right?
Well, they're telling you the blower motor works in any position but high. So if it works, it can't be bad.
So you just repair it.
If it didn't work at all, then blower motor might be bad. Okay? The other thing is, and I'm going to tell you this because that's the way they structure these questions, kind of help you with the ASE test. What's wrong with this guy? What's wrong with that answer, other than the fact that it's wrong, but what's wrong with the answer in general?
He just says that it should be replaced without any other
Right.
explanation.
There's no diagnosis involved. Just replace the blower motor. Well, first of all, it does work. Second of all, that's wrong because you don't just replace a part. Okay, there's no diagnosis involved there. Just replace the blower motor. Just throw parts at it. We don't do that, okay?
Question 9, outside air is also called
Fresh.
fresh.
Recirculation.
Recirculation.
No, it's not.
It's also called fresh air.
Fresh, yeah.
Yeah. Don't try to confuse him now. He had it right. Okay.
the blower set to high, the blower motor receives full battery voltage through a V relay.
Through a relay, yeah. Just like we saw in this schematic.
You see that, Jerry, number 10 and number 8 actually go together,
Alright.
if you look at number 10. You see what it says, except on high. That's just something I personally picked up.
All right.
Okay.
Ear inlet door is also called what? D, right? We did this one, right? We did that one. I think we did this one too. We did that one too. Doesn't look like there's a whole lot of new questions here. Okay, number 5 is a new question. What door is used to select the air discharge location, such as floor, vent, defrost?
Mode A.
Absolutely. Interior temperature, blend door, we did that one. In the heating mode, where is the airflow directed?
Floor.
When you turn your heater on, where's the air come out?
Floor?
B.
On the floor, yeah. Snowflake button, we know what that does. Most recent HVAC actuators are recalibrated after replacement by doing what?
None of that. Not unless it's B, but I don't think it's any of it. Because I know you can use a scan tool. No, it's not. No,
Isn't it C?
no.
Isn't it C?
B?
C?
C?
Yeah.
Recalibrated.
Okay, so let's use my example I used a minute ago. If you had no idea,
The longest.
pick the longest answer. Now, it's not true in every case, but if you were gonna guess anyway, chances are you'll get it right if you, okay? Again, that's only true if you have just no idea what the answer is, and you're gonna guess anyway, pick the longest answer, it's probably right, okay?
But how do you know what the answer to this one is?
What do you mean, how do you know?
Like, from the,
Well, it's in the book.
without guessing.
Oh, you mean, how would you know?
Yeah.
By going through the lesson. Scan tool, or some of them will self-relearn after you install them just by turning the ignition on and off, something like that. But that's gonna be on one of these pages here. Calibration, actuator calibration procedures on 778. They may need to be recalibrated after an actuator has been replaced. Check the service information for the specific calibration if needed. Typical calibration involves using a scan tool. Some of them will
Yeah.
self-train. So, end of 778, beginning of 779 is where you would actually find the answer. I'm just saying, if you run across a question and you have no idea what the answer is, for whatever reason, and you're gonna guess anyway, that's not a bad way to do it, because, good chance you'll get it right.
And it's the actuator. You know what I was thinking about with that question? I was just thinking about pressurizing it, and that was it. But the key thing was the actuator.
Pressurizing, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I was thinking of after when you like, take all the coolant out and then you replace it, that's where my brain was with that question.
You totally lost me.
Yeah, I lost myself. That's
First of all, coolant has nothing to do with
I
your
know,
air
but I
conditioning.
was thinking
Coolant is cooling system.
I know.
Refrigerant is, yeah, you're thinking of Freon.
Yeah.
A lot of times
yeah,
people confuse the two.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard people say, my air conditioner isn't working good, I need some more antifreeze, or I need to recharge the antifreeze. No, you don't, it has nothing to do with it. Okay. All right, let's do this for 1 second. I wanna backtrack for a second here. Where are we at? 64, right? That's where we were. Okay, I want to go back to this picture for a minute. Remember when it said you'll see these questions periodically. The fan or the blower motor only works on high speed. And they're gonna tell you, this is probably what's wrong with it. The reason they tell you that is because it's most likely. How many things could actually cause it not to work on any of the low speeds? Only on high.
Well, it could be the fan control switch.
Ignition
Okay.
switch.
It could be anywhere between here and here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you might have a bad connection here. You might have a bad ignition switch. This fuse might be blown. The fan switch itself might be bad. Okay? They're just telling you that it's most likely this, okay? So, in an electrical circuit, anything can be the problem. They're just, in this case, giving you the most likely, okay?
Now, is it ever a time where that entire system has to be replaced, like the ignition switch, the fuse, the resistor? No?
No,
Okay.
no. Nope. Okay. All right, so let's get rid of this and go back to where we need to be. There's some questions in the book that I don't know if we need to look at. See if there's any new ones.
Number 4.
4 is a new question? Okay. The air that enters vehicle from the outside enters the system from where? Where does that air come in?
The base of the windshield?
The base of the windshield is the correct answer. That's number 4. We're just gonna go do the ones where we haven't seen. The door to use temperature blend door for 7, 8. Okay, 8's a new question. 5-wire actuator uses 2 wires to power the motor. And the 3 for what? What do the other 3 do?
Number 8.
Number 8 on 781.
They're either direction or redundant, I think.
Potential.
Hmm?
Three, 5.
It's B.
It's B, the feedback potentiometer, yeah. Yep.
I was right.
Okay, good. The reheat system we did. And calibration for the actuators we did. Okay.
Are we gonna go over the chapter quizzes for all the chapters that we covered?
Absolutely. You want to go back and do the other one?
Yeah.
I think we didn't do the other one, did we? Sometimes you have to say, hey, because I forget sometimes.
I don't even remember this chapter now.
So, which one? 63, right? It's on 769.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at those.
Number 2.
Technician A, question number 1 we did, right? That's
Yep.
B. How about 2? Hot coolant is circulated through the what to warm the vehicle interior? Heater core. Yep. Where in the air conditioning system is the refrigerant a low pressure gas?
The A.
Condenser inlet, right?
Condenser. Low pressure gas
Low.
would be the evaporator
Low
outlet.
All right.
Yeah, evaporator outlet.
So gas is evaporator.
Or no, it'd be that. Low pressure gas. Okay. I'm confusing myself here. Yeah, evaporator outlet would be right.
Evaporator outlet, okay.
Yeah. Evaporator outlet.
So the gas is for the evaporator and the liquid is for the condenser?
Well, it changes in the condenser
It does from a gas, or from a liquid to
Right.
a gas,
from a gas to a liquid.
from a gas to a liquid.
Yeah, because remember that diagram or that animation we saw? I know it's hard to tell the difference between arrows and bubbles as it goes through
Oh,
there.
yeah, yeah,
Remember?
yeah.
Bubbles are a gas state, arrows are a
Mhm.
liquid state,
Okay.
and it shows where it transitions. That's actually a real good video. You might want to watch that a couple of times on your own.
Okay.
All right. We did 5. That's D. Okay, technician A says, we're not gonna worry about HFC, we can just call it 134A. Uses the same refrigerant oil, all systems. Technician B says refrigerant oil, regardless of type, must be kept in a sealed container. Keep it from absorbing moisture. Keep it clean. Here's another tip for answering questions. A lot of times when it says all, it's wrong. See where it says technician A says all HFC 134A systems use the same refrigerant oil. No, they don't. Normally, if you see something that says what technician says all, it's probably wrong. Okay? Again, not every case, but just trying to help you out. All right, thermal expansion valve, we did, right? Variable and fixed, that should be D for 7. Number 8, water is observed dripping out from beneath the evaporator. Technician A says this is normal. Technician B says the evaporator housing is defective and should be replaced.
A?
Normal?
It is normal.
So
Yep.
it's A.
What was 6?
What was 6?
Yeah, 6 was,
B?
6 was B. I'm sorry, did we miss that?
no, I missed it.
Okay, yeah, B. All right. 8 is normal. 9 is the desiccant, and 10 is new, because that's a pretty obvious question. We can replace some. Put a new one in it.
What was it, 9?
Question 9?
Yeah.
Question 9 was B, a desiccant. That is what absorbs the moisture in the system through the accumulator or receiver dryer. Okay, chapter 65 deals with automatic air conditioning system. What's the difference between a regular air conditioning system or climate control system and an automatic one? The obvious answer would be, well, one's automatic. Well, what does that mean? What the heck does that mean? Anybody know what that means?
Well, you can't really control it. The car does it by itself, right?
Yeah, kind of. So what happens in an automatic air conditioning system is your car has that. You can actually set the temperature rather than having a control that just says hot, cold. If you want it 65 in your car, you can set it to 65.
Oh,
If you want it 80 in your car, you can set it to 80.
Is that like how for like the windows that go up and down, you can set your window or you can set your seat into that right, so that's the automatic thing, that's the same thing?
That's a memory function on the seat. So here's how that works. If you have a car where maybe 2 different people drive it, and when you get in the car, you know, your wife or your husband or whoever, whoever drives the car, right? Let's say they have the seat all the way up and they adjust this and that and, you know, whatever. And then you get in it and you got to put everything back to where you want it. So you just find a comfortable setting for everything for you, and you can just hit driver 1 memory or whatever. And then when you get in the car, you can hit that and it puts everything back to where you had it. It's just a memory function for the seat and stuff like that.
Oh, it's not comparable, okay.
Yeah. On your automatic climate control, all that means is you can set a certain temperature and it'll try to keep it at that temperature. It uses extra sensors and stuff like that.
So it's like in the house?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like if this says 75 degrees right here, you just adjust it to wherever you want it. It's automatic.
I didn't know cars could do that. I guess that's why I'm struggling.
That's all it is. But again, it works differently because it has to have extra sensors and stuff like that in order to make the automatic system work the way it's supposed to work. So we're gonna go through airflow management, sensors and actuators used in automatic air conditioning because it is a little bit different, a little bit more complicated. Filters used in that dual zone climate controls, rear air conditioning system and recirculation system. This is where we'll get into a little bit of the rear climate control that has that. How hybrid electric vehicle heating and air conditioning systems work. They're a little bit different on a hybrid vehicle sometimes. All automatic HVAC systems use a combination of the following components to control airflow. Nothing new there. Vents, ducts, air doors. Use of these components allows the system to provide airflow under the following conditions. Nothing really new there. Fresh air, heat, air conditioning, defrost. Three major portions of that. Air inlet, plenum, air distribution. Again, there's nothing new here as far as automatic. Okay, automatic temperature control systems sometimes are called ATC for automatic temperature control. Additional sensors are needed to automate the system. One of those is an IAT or an OAT. Outside air temperature or ambient air temperature sensor. That sensor is usually located behind the grill in front of the radiator. Also called ambient air temperature sensor, used to supply information to the driver and display it on the ATC system. You notice a lot of cars have outside temperature, on the display somewhere, right? Comes from that sensor. Usually located behind the grill in front of the radiator. So at this point, I'm going to tell you a story about a car that I worked on. Came into the Chevy dealer I was working at. It was summertime. Car came in, customers complaining the air conditioner didn't work. I get the car in there, check it out. Sure enough, the air conditioner doesn't work. So through the diagnosis process, I find out through the scan tool data that the outside air temperature sensor is reading 40 below zero. What's the problem here?
That's not the temperature outside.
It's probably not 40 below outside, right? That's also the open circuit default voltage if the circuit is open and the sensor's bad in an open state. So what happens? The controller says if it's 40 below zero outside, I'm not turning the air conditioner on. That's why it didn't work. The only thing wrong with it was this sensor was unplugged. The car was in an accident. It had gone to the body shop and got fixed. That was a fronting collision, so they replaced a bunch of stuff in the front of the car. And the technician that put the car back together never plugged that sensor in. So if that sensor's unplugged, it reads 40 below zero, and the air conditioner doesn't work. All I had to do was plug that back in and it worked. Okay? Okay.
You guys get paid for the little stuff too?
You get paid for everything. Yeah, there's a diagnosis involved. I didn't just go, well, that's what's wrong with it. Took me a little bit to figure out. I checked the pressure, did all kinds of stuff before I went there. I didn't just go right to that. But when everything else looked good and I couldn't figure out why the compressor wouldn't come on, started looking at the scan tool data, found out that it was reading 40 below. We're like, well, that ain't right. So I found the sensor, found the plug, plugged it back in, and it worked. So yeah, you get hour for diagnosis, hour for time to actually get to the connector. So yeah, you get paid for everything.
What's easy to get to? You just reach in, plug it in.
This one happened to be fairly easy to get to. Some of them you'd actually have to maybe take the grill out or maybe reach behind the, but depends on the car. Some are easy, some not so easy, but depending how much trouble it was to get to. If you had to disassemble something, take the front bumper fascia off it to get to it, you're gonna get paid for all of that, Okay,
I have a quick question.
yeah.
So, do the dealership provide you with a diagnostic tool, or you gotta get it yourself?
Do they provide you with what?
Tools.
With a tool?
The diagnostic tools. The diagnostic tools.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
yep, you bet. The dealer's gonna supply you with everything you need to fix a car, except for obviously your tools that you're gonna need. All the specialty stuff's there, all the diagnostic equipment, all that stuff, they have it. You don't have to buy any of that stuff,
Be
okay?
careful on those trucks. I'm telling you, those trucks are a trap. They're a serious trap. You can get into some serious debt real easily on those trucks. I'm telling you. You're laughing, Ron, but you know. It's swallowing your
I'm
face.
well aware of that.
What does she mean?
Huh?
What does she mean? What does she mean?
She's talking about the tool trucks. They come in the dealership, you go on the truck and you're like, oh, wow, I got all kinds of cool stuff in here. I want that and that and that.
If you buy this amount, you can get the
Yeah.
tool
The
chest
dude
for
told me at the
free.
dealership, he was like, you gotta think of it as another phone bill. It's like, it's helping you make money, like the tool's helping you make
Yeah,
money.
yeah,
So you can't think of it as debt.
right,
You can
yeah,
have like-
yeah, that's a good point.
That's
So,
true, too.
like you said, you know, you can't expect to just be able to do this job and not invest in it at all.
Yeah.
You know, these tools make you money. You're not just throwing that money away. You're not buying clothes with it that you're gonna throw away in a couple of years. These tools will last you forever. And they make you money. So, you know, yeah, you can spend the money on them and you're gonna have to, but again, just like you said, you can't look at it as just, well, I spent all this money. Well, look at all the money that tool's gonna make you.
That's true. Very true.
It's also going to have an inside vehicle temperature sensor. It's going to be located behind the instrument panel. Of course, it has to have that in order to be able to check the temperature of the air so it can adjust it to where you set it. Air is forced by the sensor using an aspirator tube which is connected to the blower motor case. It's also going to have a discharge air temperature sensor. They're located on the outlet duct, provides control of actual discharge air temperature. So if you have a newer car, let's say it's 2 or 3 years old, or maybe it's brand new, you can go into, put the scan tool in it, go into HVAC information, turn the air conditioner on, and it will actually tell you the temperature that the air is coming out of each one of those vents. These things are extremely high tech and they know everything.
Are they trying to make it easier for you to work on a car?
It's a little bit of both.
Not until you try to fix it.
It is more complicated, it is a bit more difficult, but it also does make diagnosis a lot easier. Yeah.
How about the parking sensors, the car that parks themselves?
Cars that park themselves,
Yeah. Like,
okay.
What are the steps of fixing those? Like, what do you need to fix?
The computer.
It depends on what's wrong with it. They just use proximity sensors and stuff like that. And so, there's a lot that goes into those, but if something happens to it, all the diagnosis there. Anytime a system fails on a car or something goes wrong, it's gonna set a trouble code. That trouble code will lead you in the direction of the problem. And then it's up to you to kind of figure it out from there, right? So these scan tools and these trouble codes, they don't tell you, you know, this is what's wrong. It'll just send you in the right direction and you've got to kind of figure it out from there. But for the most part, the diagnosis is probably the most important thing on being able to work on cars. Because again, as I mentioned before, if you can't diagnose it, you can't fix it because you don't know what's wrong with it. Okay, it's also going to have a outlet, evaporator outlet temperature sensor. This is the one that's used to control the compressor, which is your variable displacement compressors. Sun load sensor, you'll see that on the top of the dash on a lot of cars. The photodiode is used to measure increased heat load from the window glass. Outlet temperature and fan speed are adjusted based on that input. Some cars that have big windshields or minivans, stuff like that, have a big sun load because they have big windshields. It's harder for the air conditioning system to cool the car down on a hot day. That sun load sensor will help adjust that based on how much sun load is coming through there. So there's a whole bunch of animations going to come through here, and what they're trying to show you is this is where you have the temperature set. This is the ambient air temperature sensor, this is the in-car temperature sensor, this is the air discharge sensor. It tries to keep the car at 70 degrees, because that's where you set it. In order for it to do that, it looks at this, okay, it's 95 degrees outside. You want it 70 in the car. The air discharge temperature has to be a little bit less than that in order to keep it 70, okay? Because if the discharge air was 70, it's not gonna be 70 in the car, right? It's gotta be colder. So it adjusts it the way, whatever it has to do, based on all of these inputs from the sensors, to try to keep the in-car temperature at 70 degrees, which is where you set it. Yeah,
I like the car be hotter than like what it is outside.
what's that?
I like the car light to be hotter than what it is outside.
No, there's a lot of times the car is hotter than what it is outside. But it also has an interior temperature sensor as well. So yeah, it'll take that into account too. Because you know how it is, you've lived here for a while, right?
Yeah.
You're familiar with Las Vegas heat, right?
Hmm.
If it's 90 degrees outside, it can be 120 in your car. If it's been sitting outside with the windows up,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So this is the same thing, basically, except for one thing. You still have it set at 70 degrees, but it's 40 degrees outside. So as you know, 70 degrees can be heat or air conditioning, depending on how cold it is outside, right? So, as you can see, it will finally adjust the in-car temperature to 70 degrees. But again, if it's 40 outside, it's not going to use the air conditioner to get it to 70. It's got to use the heater. Okay, so that air discharge temperature may be 80 degrees to get it 70 in the car because it's so cold outside. So as we go through these, the things you got to look at: where did the driver set it? What's the temperature outside? What's it doing to correct it and make it where you want it? Okay. And it's just letting you know that it's all the information that these sensors give it, and it does whatever it has to do, whether it's AC, heat, or a combination of both, to get that in-car temperature where you set it. Okay. Not all that complicated. It's 95 outside and it's 100 degrees in the car right now. You have it set on 70. Obviously the AC is going to come on, right? You want it 70 and it's 100 in the car. But look at the discharge temperature. Trying to get it from 100 in the car to 70 where you set it. Okay, makes sense, hopefully. I think this is the last example here. Basically the same thing, it's just telling you how it's going to adjust the temperature using the air conditioner, the heater, or a combination of the two. This point in time, they wanted it 66 degrees in the car, because somebody likes it cold. It was 95 outside. All right. Automatic air conditioning systems include which sensors?
There's a lot.
Outside air temperature.
Okay, it's going to have an outside air temperature sensor.
Inside.
Inside,
And
it's
a
going to
discharge air.
discharge air temp sensor.
And evaporate.
It's going to have possibly an evaporator outlet temperature. It might have a sun load sensor. It
Yeah.
might have lots of sensors like that, right?
Yep.
Outside temp, inside temp, discharge air temp, outlet evaporator, sensor, sun load.
So it's only 5 and that's it.
Yeah. All right. Ambient air temperature sensor in this system is located in the fresh air intake duct for the HVAC system. This is one of them where it is not located behind the grill in front of the radiator. It may be located there at the air intake, fresh air intake to the system. Depends on the car, they're not all in the same place, but Again, it'd be nice if they were all the same on every car with everything. Okay, back to our actuators. We've talked about those before. A dual position actuator is able to move either open or closed. And that would be an example of a recirc door or an air inlet door. A three-position actuator is able to provide 3 air door positions, such as bi-level, which could allow defrost only, floor only, or a mixture of the two. That is going to show up on the test too. The test question is going to read something like, what is an example of a 3-position actuator? And you're going to say bi-level air door. Variable position actuator is capable of many different positions. Those are the 5-wire that use a potentiometer for feedback circuit for the actual position of the door. So let's say you have an actuator that's not working quite right. You command it, let's say all the way cold, but it doesn't really go there because the actuator is kind of messed up, or maybe the door's sticking, and it doesn't go all the way to the cold. Unless it has a feedback circuit, you don't know if it made the trip or not, right? You're just assuming it did, because you set it there. What if it didn't? You don't know. The only way you're not going to know is you're going to go, well, it's not really getting that cold in the car, and then you got to figure out, is there a problem with the AC system, or is there a problem with the door? Sometimes when people say, my air conditioner doesn't work, I got a problem with my air conditioner or whatever, it could be just a door or an actuator. Let's say this air door or this blend door is not going all the way to the cold position, still letting a little heat in there. So the car never really gets, it'll get cool, but it doesn't get cold. So you gotta make sure that an actuator is not the problem, because it could be. The cool thing is, most of them have feedback circuits now, and it will tell you, did it do it or did it not do it?
And that's what the diag tool will tell you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Because I've seen a lot of them just jump straight to, oh, it needs to be charged, and not go through those other steps.
Yeah. Well, the only way somebody can check out an AC system and say it needs to be charged is if they hook the gauges up or the machine up to the high and low side service ports and look at the pressures, and the pressure is low on both sides, then it's low on refrigerant. So maybe they did that.
Maybe, yeah.
But if they're just guessing, then you're not a very good technician.
Alright, real quick, I'm sorry, just, so there's 2 types of air, the outside and the inside. And then there's, hold on, I just had it. Oh, never mind, go ahead. I had it and I lost it.
Okay, well, if you find it again, I'd be happy to listen to you. Okay. This is just a block diagram showing inputs to the controller, outputs. Remember, as we go through this, there's a lot of things in cars, especially when talking about electronics, that are going to refer to inputs and outputs. Inputs are from sensors. That is the information that the computer gathers from sensors, okay? It's just like, works just like a person does, right? As you go through life, you gather information by things around you, like, you know to turn the heater on if you're freezing, right? Or turn the air conditioner on if you're roasting, whatever, right? You know to eat if you're hungry, right? Your body has sensors that tell you, I'm hungry, or I've had enough, or whatever, right? Okay. So your inputs are the information from the sensors that the controller gathers. The outputs are, what's it going to do about it? Let's say this is you, and your hungry sensor says, okay, I'm hungry. What's the output going to be? You're going to go get something to eat, right? I know that's pretty simplified, but it gives you an idea of how it works, right? So it's going to take all the information from these sensors, it's going to decide what to do, and then it's going to command one of these outputs to do whatever action it takes to make that happen. And as you're going to find out as we go through the class, there's a million sensors on the car, because without them, the car wouldn't be able to function. It's got to know what everything is doing. In this case, there's a compressor temperature sensor on this particular vehicle. Another quick schematic lesson. Normally, you're going to read a schematic from top to bottom. It's going to start with the power. Okay? See where this says hot in on? Sometimes it'll say hot in run or whatever. Hot at all times. Hot means it has power. Okay? That wire is hot. Hot means it has power on it, right? That means this wire has no power until you turn the ignition on. So if you're trying to diagnose this and you put your test light on here, see if you got power to this control module, you know, nope, don't have any power to it. Well, you better turn the key on first. Okay? Same with this. Same with this. This says hot all the time. That means this wire has power on it no matter what. That wire has power on it when you're sleeping. You don't have to be in the car. You don't have to have the engine running. You don't have to have the ignition on. Nothing. Okay? This wire should be hot all the time. This with the key on, this with the key on. That's what that means. Okay? You also notice right after the power comes this. Every electrical circuit is fused. Why is that? Electrical circuit overloads. First thing that happens, blows the fuse, opens the circuit, no more current flows. That way your car doesn't catch on fire. If you didn't have fuses in your car, if you had an electrical problem, chances are you'd have a fire. Okay? Why do they use a feedback potentiometer on an electric actuator? This is the 5-wire one. What is the purpose of this guy?
To detect the actual position of the door or not.
Okay, exactly. Tells the controller the actual position of the actuator or whatever it's controlling, right? But by feedback from the actual position of the door, it's like I said, if it doesn't have a feedback circuit on it, you can only guess if what you did happened. Let's say you switched it to your mode to floor. You want the air to blow out the floor. On that, it's pretty obvious because if it doesn't blow out the floor, you know it didn't work, right? But if it's a temperature thing, you may not know. Cabin filters, everybody knows what that is, right? Shouldn't be anything new to learn here. Filters out the air, outside air. Purpose of it is get dirt, dust, and all that crap out of the air incoming to the vehicle so you don't have to breathe it.
Off, do you change it again?
Often you change it. It should at least be checked every time you have your regular service, like oil change, so, you know, 4,000 or 5,000 miles. As far as replacement, it depends on the conditions that the car operates under. If it's in a, you know, if it's in a truck that, you know, spends a lot of time, you know, off-roading or, you know, obviously, you probably have to change it every time you get the oil change, but, so, I don't know what the replacement interval is. It's probably going to be in the service manual or owner's manual, something like that. So typically they're easy to check. Best thing to do is just check it. You know, every oil change or every other oil change. That's usually part of a normal service when a car comes in for an oil change. They'll just check it. Looks good. Wait till next time. It's accessed either in the dash, behind the glove box, usually. Behind the glove box or from under the hood. I'm going to hook you up again. This is going to be a test question. Okay? Cabin filters can be accessed where? And you're going to say,
Glove box.
well, it could be under the hood, it could be up in the dash, it could be in the glove box, okay? Should be replaced regularly. Whatever regularly means.
actuator, it changes the direction?
The actuator is just a little motor that moves your air doors.
The actuator moves the air door.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's what controls the little flapper doors. They don't move by themselves. They have to have actuators. They're just little electric motors, stepper motors, kind of like. And a lot of times the pulse width modulated, meaning it's only gonna move to where it wants it to. It's not necessarily a full swing. Okay, vacuum control circuits use vacuum created in the intake manifold of the engine. Sometimes they're used to control door position. Vacuum accumulator is used to store vacuum during short periods of acceleration. All right. Some actuators are vacuum operated, so you have to remember that. This is also something that you're going to have to know. Why would you need in a vacuum accumulator to store vacuum during short periods of acceleration? Why would you need that?
Can we close during acceleration?
What happens during acceleration as far as engine vacuum goes? Does it go high or low? Is your engine vacuum high at idle or low at idle?
Low.
At idle?
High vacuum, right? Okay, let's use our little throttle body here as an example. Where are you? Here it is. Okay. Here is the throttle body off of the engine, kind of like what you have. By the way, how's the Camaro doing?
I guess they ran on the park, you said.
Okay, anyway. So this is approximately where the throttle plate is when the engine's idling, right? Almost completely closed. You don't want to completely close, otherwise it would shut the air off and the engine would just stall, right? Okay, so let's say it's idling right here. Engine vacuum is high because this is a restriction, okay? As the pistons are moving up and down, it creates a low pressure area of vacuum in the intake manifold, right? This was the restriction, okay? Causes the vacuum, right? Throughout the whole intake manifold. 17 to 21 inches of mercury, okay? As you accelerate, the throttle plate gets open more and more and more and more, right? Now you have almost zero vacuum because there's no restriction here anymore. So if you have a vacuum operated actuator and you're accelerating, you got no vacuum. So how's that actuator going to work? I'll tell you how it's going to work. They're going to have a little accumulator that stores vacuum for short periods of acceleration. Okay, that's how that works.
So,
We saw this on the previous chapter. Yeah.
all right, so is the two-wire actuator directly related to the dual position actuator and going forward with the 3-wire and the 3-position and the 5-wire and the variable position? Or no? Does it not matter?
Okay, so the 2-wire is basically just your 2 wires on the motor, power and ground.
And it has nothing to do with the dual position?
That has nothing to do with the what?
The dual position of the actuator. Comparing page 777 to
Okay, let me see what you're looking
783, they're both talking about actuators.
Okay,
So does one have to do with the other or no?
okay. See where it says dual position actuator is either open or closed?
Yeah,
So basically, it's either open or closed because it's only got 2 wires.
right, so.
So it's either gonna go,
I'm
it's either
sorry.
gonna go one way or the other way. So it's either open or closed for a dual position, 2 positions, okay? 3 position, as it says here, is an example of your bilevel air door. Okay? It can be windshield, it can be floor, or defrost, floor, or a combination of the 2. There's your 3 positions. The 5-wire with the 3-wire potentiometer feedback circuit can go in any position it wants to go. If it wants to move this far, it will. If it wants to move this far, it will. If it wants to move this far, it will. The other one's just either here or here. The other one's either here, here, or here. This one can do any in the range.
Right, so does the 5-wire directly correlate with the variable position?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
and then the 3-wire, God bless you, directly correlates with the 3 position.
Mm-hmm.
And the 2-wire directly with the dual position.
Meaning open or closed, yes.
Okay, just wanted to make sure that my brain was on that right path.
You got it right.
Okay.
Okay. Electric servo motor circuits. Most HVA systems use electric motors to move the valves and the doors. Each one of those motors contains a feedback potentiometer if it is a 5-wire, which is used by the air conditioning unit to indicate the actual position of the valve or door. We already know that. Most systems are designed to store a diagnostic trouble code indicating if the door is out of calibration, meaning it didn't go where you wanted it to go. We saw this in the previous chapter as well, I believe. It might be the same picture.
Yep.
3 different actuators on here. There's one here, there's one here, there's one here. This might be the blend door, this might be the air door, this might be the mode door, whatever. Feedback circuit signals the AC control unit with the blend door position.
There's a pattern to this.
So as you can see, if this has a feedback circuit, right, it's a 5-wire, right? There's your 5 wires that go to your control unit. 3 for the feedback circuit, 2 for the motor. Okay, so what's on your mind now?
There, I just found it. What seems to me to be a pattern. But, so there's, when it comes to the HVAC system, to make sure that I'm understanding it right,
Okay?
you have your core and your hoses, which is the heater. Then you have your motor, your blower motor, which includes the compressor, the evap, and the condenser. Then your valves. Then there's 2 types of air, your outside and your inside. There's 3 types of doors, your rotary, your flap, and your rolling, which control the inside, like, you know, the passenger or driver or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have your filters. Then you have your outside air control that's done by 3 as well, which is which is 3 outside airs. It's your fresh, your recirculation, and your outside, right? Did I say that right? Right. And then you have your temp control, 5 types of temp control, which is your bypass, your diverter, your blend, your temperature, and your air mix. Then the actuator doors, which are 3 types. You have your 2-wire for the dual position, your 3-wire for the 3 position, and your 5-wire for the variable position.
Okay?
And then 4 types of airflows, which are heat, AC, ventilation, and defogging.
Okay,
Am I on the right path?
sounds like it. I think you're pretty well good with that. Okay. Your blower motor control. Blower motor, what does it do? Moves the air, right? It's a fan, it's just a fan. Motor with a little squirrel cage on it that moves air. Use resistors to control the speed of the motor, which we saw. Resistors lower the voltage and the current. Remember I stressed this before because that's going to be on the test. Voltage and current both. Blower motor resistor is always located near the planet blower so that the airflow helps keep it cold. Keeps the resistor cool. Another blower motor picture, which I think we saw before. Most of the time, they do not include the squirrel cage, this guy right here, okay? We have to just replace the motor and take this off of the old one. Unless it happens to be bad, then you'll have to get a new squirrel cage. This is an example of a resistor. It's located in that blower assembly, so as air blows across there, it helps cool the resistor. Typically easy to change. unplug it, there's a couple of screws on there to hold it in. Normally a quick job. Dual zone, those are the long ones that allow the driver and passenger to select different temperatures. We talked about that a minute ago. They will let you select a temperature difference of as much of 30 degrees. So if the driver and passenger want temperatures that are more than 30 degrees of each other, something's wrong. People shouldn't be that much different or that picky. Who's gonna want, one side of the car 70, oh, I want it 100, or, right? But it does allow you a 30-degree difference between driver and passenger, which is huge. Okay? It does use 2 blend door actuators, as we talked about before, because each one is being controlled by its own actuator. Just shows you how it splits there. If you look on the bottom there, you can see that it does have 2 blend door actuators. And that's just an example of a control panel with a dual temperature, obviously driver passenger. Not automatic, just slide control. Okay, how does our dual zone climate control system work?
The driver can have his own temperature and the passenger their own with a 30-degree difference.
Okay, but how does it work? You're correct, but how does it work? How does it do that? How does it separate the two?
It has 2. Forgot.
That directs the airflow
Splits
from
them.
the passenger. Is that what you said? Passenger.
How does it, the question is, how does it system work? How does it give you different temperature on the driver and different temperature on the passenger? How does it do that?
The duct and air flows are split, and 2 air mix doors are used, with each door being controlled by its own actuator.
Exactly. There you go. Uses 2 blend door actuators, each with its own, or 2 blend doors, each with its own actuator. That's exactly how it works. Okay. Vehicles with rear air conditioning system. If it has rear air, it has rear heat. Okay? It's just rear climate control for bigger vehicles. Okay? These are the differences. It's going to have a larger capacity air conditioning compressor. It will not have 2 of them. It will have a second evaporator located at the rear of the vehicle. It will have a separate heater core located at the rear of the vehicle. A second blower motor located at the rear of the vehicle. And all the lines, hoses, connections, and everything it takes to get all of that back to the back of the vehicle. It's going to also have controls for the rear climate control. Fan speed, temperature, all that. Just showing you seat interior removed, showing you the some of those ducts that run underneath the seats. This is an example of the rear AC system. Happens to be on a Honda Odyssey minivan. As you can see, has its own blower motor, has its own HVAC assembly. Can't really see it, but it's got an evaporator core, heater core, everything in there. Just like it does in the front, it's just a separate one in the back. The only thing it does not have is another AC compressor. It just has a larger capacity compressor. And it also holds over twice as much refrigerant. So let's say a normal system, let's just, for an example, holds a 1.5 pounds of refrigerant. A system like that would probably hold 4.5, more than twice as much. Because it has to travel through all those lines, it has to go through the second evaporator core, holds a lot of refrigerant. Hey, a guy bring me a Ford, what was it? Explorer, I think it was, a couple of years ago, for air conditioning problem. He had taken it somewhere to get it fixed, didn't work right, so he called me. This had rear climate control. One of the mistakes they made was they charged it as if it was just a single system. So it was extremely low on refrigerant, so it never got cold. So all I had to do is evac and put the proper amount of refrigerant in, and it worked fine. So, okay. Recirculation operation, purpose to speed up the cooling of the inside of the vehicle. Body control module may also select recirc if the high side air conditioning system pressure exceed 320. And again, that's very high for a high side pressure. Even when it's hot outside, you really shouldn't see more than 250, 275 the most. To lower the high side pressure during a cooler, using cooler inside air through the evaporator. Customer may notice a change in the air noise inside the vehicle when that happens. Quick little go over on a hybrid electric vehicle heating and cooling systems. They may be different than conventional systems. They have to provide heat and cooling during engine off periods. You know, in a hybrid vehicle, it has two propulsion systems, right? Internal combustion gasoline engine, just like every other car, an electric motor, and big battery and all that, right? Okay. Since it has two propulsion systems, if the engine is not running, you still have to provide heat and cooling to the inside of the car, right? Even if the engine's not running. So if the engine's not running, obviously the compressor isn't turning. You're not gonna have air conditioning, right? This is how it does it. The compressor is not belt driven, it's electric. So if it's electric, it doesn't care if the engine's running or not, right? It may have a belt and be electronically operated, so it could be either one. It's gonna have an idle stop mode that's disabled if max cooling is selected, meaning the car won't shut off. And there is our next lesson in air conditioning. And this is the last one we're going to do. How's it going? Still working? No, all done?
Yep.
Great.
Are we ready?
Yeah.
If you are, we are.
I did not use the book, so. this
Look
is
at you go.
Probably wrong. Where is the ambient temperature sensor usually mounted? I selected D.
It's
D?
A.
It's A, say.
Yes, it is A. In front of the radio. Behind the grill. All right.
Number 2. Which sensor might use an aspirator tube? A. Inside vehicle temperature.
All right.
Number 3,
Three, yep.
some, carbon filters contained from B.
Activated charcoal, yep. Surely do.
Which would be the following, not A, sensor, put B.
B, humidity sensor is correct.
Number 5, what components in the AC system may be different on a hybrid electric vehicle? I put A.
Negative.
It's the compressor.
Compressor.
Compressor, yeah. Yep. It's gonna have to be electrically operated and possibly belt driven both for engine off operation.
An actuator can be capable of how many positions? D.
Oh,
Okay,
What was 5, I'm sorry?
5. Compressor.
compressor,
Okay, thank
We're on number 7.
7.
you. Okay, thank you.
Which sensor is also called ambient air temperature sensor? A.
Okay,
Number 8,
number 8.
Oh, an ATC system has the ability to automatically D, all of the above?
Yes, it can do all of those.
Number 9. Which component is used as a feedback circuit? D.
Potentiometer, yes, that is
How do you
correct.
say that word? How do you pronounce that?
Potentiometer.
Potentiometer.
It's just a 3-wire variable resistor is all it is. They use a lot of those in cars.
number 10, I chose B.
You did?
Chose B.
Okay. The HVAC door is not a vac system, may be vacuum operated. They may be electric servos. Could be either one.
Both.
So both.
Okay. All right, could be either one. Let's go through this. Next quiz, we did one in the book. And we'll get you out of here for today. Okay, number 2. Somebody take number 2.
Which of these is an example of a 3-position actuator?
By level.
That's right, remember I told you that was gonna show up on the test? And maybe on the real test too. Okay,
What's the answer?
By
level
level.
air door,
Oh,
3-position actuator, that will show up on the test on Wednesday.
Which one are we on?
3.
The blower motor resistors are used to limit blank to the motor.
Both voltage and current. Absolutely. Got that. Actuator capable of, we did that one, did that one, did that one. Some cattle filters are accessible behind the glove box, some from under the hood.
Both.
All right. We didn't talk about this. There's a green dialog box that says frequently asked question, what is afterglow?
Afterglow.
What is afterglow? It's on
Where is
page 783 at the top in the green box.
Oh.
I wanna say, I don't know.
Hey,
afterglow is a term used to describe the
Operation of the blower motor after the ignition has been turned off.
Mhm.
whatever. that
Sometimes the
means.
blower motor will continue to run after you shut the ignition off, you get out of the car. What that does is right what it says here. System is to dry the evaporator, prevent the formation of wet. Should be pretty obvious. What's gonna happen if it gets wet and stays wet? Okay. What's the most popular type of sun load sensor?
Photodiode.
Photodiode is correct. Which one of these is not a part of a rear air conditioning system?
A rear,
Mm-hmm.
rear, the
Which
rear
one of those is not a
evaporator?
part?
Is it A?
Nope,
B.
C.
nope. It's not gonna have a rear compressor. It will have everything else. Only has one compressor, it's a high capacity compressor. It's gonna have two blower motors, it's gonna have two heater cores, two evaporators, okay? Compressor does not have a rear compressor. Okay. Okay, number one on 787. Dual zone climate control allows driver and passengers to select individual temperatures. What design feature allows this to happen?
You said 787?
That's number
787, bottom of the page, chapter quiz.
one. Which one?
Number one.
Split ducts and two air mix doors.
Yep. C for number one. We did number two, we did number three, we did number four, we did number five. And we did number six.
What's number 6?
Number six, aspirator two, what sensor might use an aspirator two inside
Inside.
vehicle temperature? A, 4, 6. Cabin filters, either way, we did that. Lower motor resistors, voltage and current, we did that. Which one is not part of a rear system? The compressor.
The AC compressor.
Yep, no rear AC compressor. Just has one in the normal position in the front, but it's gonna be a higher capacity.
We did 10.
Seven?
Both.
Both. Cabin filters can be accessible from under the hood or behind the glove box.
Is 10B?
It's
10 is B.
Compressor.
This component may be different on a hybrid electric vehicle, the compressor. Okay. All right. I'll see you tomorrow. And we'll finish this up and review the whole thing before test time.